For a service-based economy, human resources is one of the key items that you need to consider. And so welcome to Julia Ross, who runs her own company, has been doing so, I think, for the last 20 years. And Julia, I believe you started with one person, and now you have, I think, 50 different operations in 6 countries. So really, what is the sort of background? What is the sort of secret of your success, if one can put it that way?
Difficult question, and I often think what actually drove me, and I think it's just family background. All of my siblings wanted to be entrepreneurs and came from England originally, and I think we talked a lot about going into business for ourselves, so that's sort of where it started. In terms of building the branch networks, I'd worked for a global recruitment company prior. So I was used to running a lot of branches for them, indeed, here in Hong Kong and around Australasia. So I'd already had experience in that before I went on my own, so that was a great background for me.
So just how important is China and, I guess, Hong Kong in your business right now?
Not originally my own business. I started that in Australia because I was living in Sydney at the time. So that's where I started the group. But it was quite relevant that we, looked at Asia quite early on in the piece. So we were very interested in Asia. We did actually open up in Europe because we knew that there were a lot of backpackers that came back and forth from the UK to Australia, so we opened Europe first and then came and looked at Asia.
So human resources is a very competitive business. How do you really stay ahead of the game, in front of the crowd?
I think there's a number of issues. I think for us, having this corridor that goes from Australia through Asia to Europe is very important, because I think a lot of people move around in that sort of area. So we can find people from different parts of, say, the Asian region, or we can look for people in Europe to bring to Asia or indeed to Australia. So very important that we're able to move people around those various locations. I think the other part of human resources, rather than purely recruitment, is also supplying lots of other services. There's lots of other clients now that want us to look at their attrition rates. As much as it's important to recruit the right people, it's very important to make sure that you keep them, and it's very important that you develop them. So a lot of programs about how to train line managers to know their staff and to grow their staff. Lots of things that we do like that are very important. And also a lot of companies who want to outsource other services like payroll outsourcing, technology solutions, managed training services. So a lot of our other businesses are very relevant as well.
So Julia, how important is Asia and China to your business?
I think that Asia in total is very important. I think everyone talks very heavily China, and yes, of course, China is going to be a very major market for us, but I think Asia as a region for us is very important. There are a lot of economies as well. Singapore is growing very rapidly. They're looking for enormous amounts of people over this current time. So, we see it as a region. Hong Kong in particular, of course, is a very good market for us. We particularly were focused on Hong Kong when we made the Spherion acquisition, which was a major acquisition that we accomplished a couple of years ago. And part of the reason for that acquisition was to get a big footprint in Hong Kong. So our Hong Kong office is very established and is very important to us because of its its sophistication and infrastructure. It's an important centre for us to work from and, of course, to work into China from.
And where it comes to pitching the business, though, that can't be easy. So how do you actually pitch this business out of Hong Kong into the rest of Asia?
Well, in the same way as other parts of the world, in offering an overall service to clients. Most clients want us to look at their overall human resources issues. They don't just want us to recruit for them, they want us to recruit correctly, and they want us to look at what that means in their organisations. So no longer do people come and say, I just want one person. They come to us and say, this is what we're doing, these are our expansion plans, this is the type of people we're going to need moving forward. Could you have a look at what that means, and can you have a look at mapping that out for us and having a look at where you can find that talent?
So where it comes to the actual diversity of the sort of people that a company wants to take on, of course they do need people who can speak different languages perhaps. Is Hong Kong actually rich in that kind of resource?
I think that Hong Kong's actually well placed in comparison to other markets. I mean, the talent shortage in other parts of Asia and the world is actually more severe than you have here. So I think that the economy here can grow easier than some other economies that are very, very short of talent. I mean, there is a war for talent in a lot of other countries. So I think Hong Kong is actually quite well placed. I think, as with other places, however, there will be an amount of development of those people as the world becomes more sophisticated. I think, not only we tend to think that it's okay for people to be educated in the sciences and that sort of thing, but now we also need people who can go into more general things, sales and different things that are going to be a little bit different for the type of people and the type of culture here. So I think development's going to be part of it in growing the people locally into other levels. But that's the same in many parts of the world, and I think Hong Kong is better placed in its raw talent.